Why would you want to drive all the way from the UK to southern Germany for an aviation event? Well, that's exactly what my husband decided we should do in order to attend AERO Expo Friedrichshafen for this year's event.
This is the largest and most well-attended annual aviation expo of its kind in Europe. The stunning scenery and brilliant organisation combined to make this an unforgettable experience. And I was convinced that, for me and Eve, this trip would be far more than just an aircraft show. It would be an adventure.
That's how Jeff tried to sell it to me. I have family in Germany, so I was satisfied to use this as an opportunity to visit them. But would it be worth the effort for just the Aero Expo event alone? Hopefully our experience will help you decide.
With the weather in the UK being typically unpredictable in April, we chose to travel by car rather than risk flying to Friedrichshafen in our own aircraft.
And from my perspective, it was a good decision.
Having your own car gives you complete flexibility. You can travel at your own pace, pack how you want, stop where you like, and it also frees you from the stresses we face as pilots, especially in regard to the weather.
Most importantly, driving also meant that my clothing, shoe and bag choices weren't subject to Jeff's ruthless weight and balance calculations.
A secondary benefit was that somehow I managed to come home with a large impulse buy. Having the car enabled us to accommodate this additional heavy cargo. I'll tell you more on that later.
Unlike flying there, having your own vehicle makes local travel incredibly easy. There's no need to wait for taxis or rely on public transport.
Although in fairness, these other options were exceptionally easy to access and are executed with stereotypical German efficiency. So if you choose not to take your own vehicle, you will still be able to move around relatively easily, although again, you may have to travel somewhat lighter.
We drove in my long-range Tesla because the charging network across Europe is exceptional. Furthermore, almost every charging station is situated near a restaurant and/or toilets, so by the time we had recharged, so had the car. This structured approach appeals to my German sense of efficiency.
At my age, regular stops are less of an inconvenience and more of a strategic necessity. And yes, I have had my prostate checked. Although, as I see it, the greatest threat to my health is the way that my wife attacks the autobahns, ladling out speeds like a woman possessed.
Accommodation around Friedrichshafen is excellent. There are plenty of quality hotels, guest houses and apartments nearby, with options for different budgets and style of travel. We'll give you a breakdown of costs a little later in this video. What stood out most was how easy it was to combine the event with a proper short break. Comfortable accommodation, beautiful surroundings, and everything within easy reach made the whole experience feel relaxed.
My advice would be to book early for obvious reasons.
We rented a small apartment just 2 miles from the airfield and located in the heart of Friedrichshafen. It had incredible views of the Alps and was situated within walking distance of the lake.
It was also directly on final approach for the 06 runway, which meant that I could watch the aircraft flying into the event whilst Eve sunbathed on the balcony. There were so many wonderful things to look at that my brain was overloaded with trying to prioritize exactly what I should be focusing on.
Irrespective of the aviation show, Friedrichshafen is a fantastic holiday destination in its own right. Set on the shores of Lake Constance with mountain views in the distance, it has a calm, exclusive and premium feel that makes it a pleasure to explore. There are breathtaking walks, restaurants, cafes, and clean streets that are typical for southern Germany. It's difficult to articulate the scale of the Aero event. You need to experience it firsthand to fully appreciate it. Hall after hall of aircraft, avionics, innovation, technology, and companies from across the aviation world.
The number of exhibitors is mind-blowing. Whether you're into ultralights, GA aircraft, helicopters, business aviation, electric flight, accessories or training, there's something here for everyone. You can spend the entire day walking and still not see everything properly.
In fact, my fitness app tells me we covered over 12,000 steps on our first day.
One of the best parts of AERO Friedrichshafen is simply the sheer variety of aircraft and companies on display. We found ourselves looking around stands from Tecnam, Diamond Aircraft, ScaleWings, Aerospool, Ellipse, Sling Aircraft, LP Aviation with their remarkable Pioneer Rotax twin, GoGet Air, Ryzen, Shark Aero, JMB with their VL3, Tarragon, Edge Performance, Blackwing, Junkers, and that doesn't even scratch the surface.
My personal favorites were the WT10 from Aerospool, the Shark, which felt like a mini fighter plane, and the beautiful Diamond aircraft. Although a Diamond sits well beyond our budget, that didn't stop me from configuring my dream aircraft. Exterior colors, interior finishes, and engine configuration. Every girl deserves a Diamond. Just saying.
Yes, it was one of those moments where aspiration supersedes practicality, but look at Eve getting all av geeky. Speaking of which, for me it was impossible to ignore the Mustang replica from ScaleWings. The level of craftsmanship was extraordinary, with their stunning carbon work simulating original rivet and body panel patterns that create an astonishing sense of authenticity. Beyond the aircraft themselves, it was also a pleasure to catch up with old friends, see some of our favourite manufacturers again, and also put faces to the names of several of you who were kind enough to watch our channel and stopped us to say hi. Moments like that made the whole experience feel more special.
Mixed into the exhibition are non-aviation related stands. Remarkably, we happened upon a stand selling surgical equipment, so I took the opportunity to buy some new instruments for our surgery. We also bought some cheese from a vendor, although regretted this as we did not realize it would cost us 22 euros.
And that's a wonderful segue into the cost of visiting AERO Expo Friedrichshafen. So here's a breakdown of what a couple might expect to spend on attending the event together.
The Eurotunnel tickets were 340 euros. Altogether, our 4D Aero passes cost 152 euros, which was 76 euros each. Tesla charging amounted to 124 in total, around 62 euros each way. Accommodation for 5 nights with 800 euros. Tourism tax came in at 28 euros. And a typical meal out with wine in a restaurant overlooking Lake Constance was 58 euros or 29 euros each.
Yeah, and let's not forget that Italian cheese at 22 euros per 100 grams.
Please let it go now. One of the pleasures of visiting a European event like this is finding proper German food. I was so excited to be able to buy Leberkäse in a bar. If you know, you know. It was delicious.
One thing we noticed is how attendance appears to build through the week. We felt that the first 2 days are the best time to attend if you want to avoid the crowds, have easier conversations with exhibitors, and you prefer a slower pace. Later in the week, the crowds increase significantly, and by the weekend, the event feels much more frenetic. This is also reflected by the aviation and general traffic to and from the site. Skip out too early though, and you may miss out on some of the special events, demonstrations, or flying displays that are scheduled to target the largest audience. So the best days to attend will depend on what matters to you most: access and space versus atmosphere and live action.
What impressed us was how well organized everything was, or perhaps more accurately, exactly what you would expect from us Germans. Everything appeared carefully thought out, properly resourced, and designed to cope with large numbers of visitors without ever feeling chaotic. Parking in the 6,500 space car park was clearly managed and wonderfully stress-free given the number of people attending. Despite the scale of the event, arriving by car never felt like a burden, which is no small undertaking for an exhibition of this size.
Security was also excellent, visible, professional, and reassuring without becoming intrusive or causing long queues. We felt safe and well looked after, but never inconvenienced.
Once at the venue, movement in and around the event felt smooth and efficient. Signage was clear and access was logical. You could move between halls, outdoor areas, and displays with ease, allowing you to focus on enjoying the event rather than wondering where to go next. Wheelchair users would have no access problems at all, and the only issues you'd encounter would be the same as you would at any other crowded event: people distracted by the exhibits, failing to exercise good spatial awareness, etc.
What made things significantly easier and helped us structure our visit was the AERO Friedrichshafen app. It's far more than a simple event guide.
The app allows you to plan almost every aspect of your visit in advance, from exploring exhibitors and hall layouts to identifying key stands, talks, demonstrations, and daily highlights. Instead of wandering aimlessly or worrying about missing something important, you can build a clear plan for the day before you even arrive.
Another clever feature is the ability to create your own profile and connect with others attending the event. Whether you're meeting friends, networking with industry contacts, or simply just trying to coordinate with people already on site, it adds another layer of convenience that made this event feel much more manageable.
The weather during our visit was superb, which made Jeff regret not having flown us here in our own aircraft. I have to admit that arriving by air would be an unforgettable experience. But in reality, driving still made more sense for us this time, especially if your husband decided to unexpectedly buy an aircraft tag from Towflex.
Oh yeah, that may have happened. I was hoping you would have forgotten about that by now. Let's not forget that 22 euros for 100 grams of cheese though. Shocking waste of money. Anyway, the app also has details on arriving at the event by air and the associated airfields. I wish I could give you more details on what it's like to fly in, but with no direct experience, I guess we'll just have to fly in next time.
So would I recommend AERO Friedrichshafen? I'm surprised and delighted to say that I absolutely and unreservedly would. The incredible nature of AERO Friedrichshafen is its remarkably broad appeal. Whether you're an enthusiast looking for parts and ideas for your latest garage-built ultralight biplane,
or if you're looking for the last word in multi-engine technology and luxury, it's all there.
But it's so much more than that. Even if aviation is not what you live for, this is still one of those events you should experience at least once in your life.
It's such a classy affair that combines world-leading cutting-edge aviation with a beautiful destination, superb organisation, and a genuinely enjoyable atmosphere where everyone is united by a common passion.
Even dogs love it. Well, almost.
Will we go next year? With our lives being so busy, possibly not. Will we go again? Oh, without question. And we've already penciled it in for 2028. Perhaps next time we'll arrive by air.
If that's the case, we're going to need a bigger aircraft.
Well, let's see what Aerospool have available when we visit them this August for their fly-in. If you want to see that and so much more before, then please subscribe for free and hit that notification bell to join us on our next little adventure.
If you attended AERO Friedrichshafen this year, then let us know your favorite part in the comments. And if you haven't been yet, would you drive there or fly? Danke fürs Zuschauen. Tschüss.